This is Hareesha from H&B Premier Tax and Accounting LLC. If we haven't met before, my name is Hareesha Boyagodage. I'm a CPA here in Long Island, New York. So this is a channel that we cover personal finance, business finance, tax strategy, productivity, and a lot of other things that that an individual or a small business person could benefit from. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please consider subscribing, and then click that like button. So that way you tremendously help us, and also you will help someone else get to know this information. More importantly, you help yourself as well. So today, this topic, what I want to cover is something that a lot of people might think during this time of the year, when they're going to get their tax refund. I know due to what's going on out there, everybody's struggling financially. Things are not the greatest. So people are trying to get any kind of help that they could get. For most people, the tax refund that they get at the end of the year when they file the taxes during the tax season is a big financial help. People plan to do a lot of things with using the tax refund, and especially during these times when people are financially hurting, they want to know when they're going to get their tax refund. So that's what I'm going to cover in this video. So I'm going to cover three things that will help you decide when you could receive your refund. All right, so let's get into it. So the first, when to expect your refund. So your refund, expects date, depends on few things. Depending on your filing method. So whether you're filing a paper file or e-file, right? So if you file an e-file, a tax return, instead of mailing a tax returns, you will get your refund faster. And then the next thing that decide how fast you're going to get your refund is whether you are requesting a paper check from the IRS or like an electronic direct deposit. So if you are requesting an electronic deposit, that expedite your refund the process. So the third thing that's going to decide how soon you're going to get your refund is what credits you're claiming. So I'm going to cover which credits really affects for IRS to hold your refund or delay your refund in the topic number 2. So just for right now, let's say depending on what credits you claim, your refund will either come sooner or will get delayed, right? What is IRS refund schedule? This is not like a definitive timeline. This is based on the information that we have based on previous tax seasons. So if you e-file a tax return and then you request direct deposit, money to be deposited into your bank directly, so IRS timeline to issue that refund is anywhere between 1 week to 3 weeks. More also it's close to 1 week, but if there are any issues with the tax return, they have to verify certain stuff with other systems, so then it could take up to 3 weeks, right? Now let's say if someone e-file and they request a paper check, so then it will take 1 month or 4 weeks. And if somebody mail in a tax return without e-filing, electronically filing it, right? So they mail in a tax return and they request a direct deposit refund, so then it will take 3 weeks. So now what if someone mail in a return, they don't e-file, and also they don't request a direct deposit, they request a paper check as their refund method of receiving refund, then it will take all the way up to 2 months. So this is the last thing that you want to do. All right. So most preparers are required or mandated to use e-file. So if you're using a preparer, most probably your return will get e-file, electronically filed, and then it will go through the IRS e-file system. But if you are one of those that want to do it by yourself, fill in the forms manually, so then that's going to take you forever to receive your refund. If you want to do your on return, go to IRS. IRS has a free e-file section. So if your income's within a certain limit, then you could use those tools and then pre e-file your tax return, and then that way you could get a refund faster. So now I'm going to leave. I'm going to show you a chart that CPA Practice Advisor released a couple of months back, showing depending on what week that you're filing your return, when are you going to get your refund, right? Also, it depends when if you're filing early in the tax season or if you're filing during the peak season. If you're filing in the early in the tax season, so let's say, if the IRS opened their e-filing system, on January 25th, you file your return, on or before January 25th, and then IRS accepts it, right, then and there when they open their system on January 25th. Most likely, if you're not claiming certain credits, you will get your refund, somewhere around February 5th or so. Let's say you file your return close to February 2nd, and then IRS accepts it around that time, on February 2nd or so, you will get your refund around February 12th, right? So what if you go to file your tax return during the peak season? So then your schedule is different. So I'm going to leave that schedule on the screen for a little bit, so you could take a look at it. All right, so if you want to keep it with you, take a screenshot, picture. So this is estimated chart based on the previous tax season. It's not a definitive thing, but it will give you some idea. If you file during the peak time, it's somewhere around end of March, or early April, right? Let's say you file on March 29th, so you are expecting to receive your refund around April 9th. Or let's say if you file on April 5th, then you're expecting to receive your refund around April 16th. So I'm going to leave the chart for the peak season and then peak season both, so you could take a look at it. Let's talk about the things that could delay your refund. I mentioned previously, if you claim certain credits that will delay your refund, right? So what are those credits? So if you claim earned income tax credit and then additional child tax credit, so these two credits, when you claim these two credits, IRS is required to hold your refund until February 15th. So they by law they cannot release those refunds prior to February 15th. So why is that? Because earned income tax credit is a credit that IRS pay to people that has lower income or certain income amount, threshold of income, and then they have kids. So IRS giving money out of their pocket to these people. It's not like they're refunding what the taxes that you paid. They're giving money out of their pocket for people to help them. So that's why they have to verify certain things. They have to make sure that all the paperwork are good, and these people are complying with the requirements. So the same thing with additional child tax credit. So IRS will not even start looking at those tax returns until February 15th. So once February 15th starts, they will start reviewing these tax returns, and then they will start releasing the refunds first week of March. So if somebody claim earned income tax credit or additional child tax credit, look at your tax return, so you will see if you claim those credits or not. So then you could reasonably expect your refund to come first week of March if there's no any other issues. So then what are the other things that could delay your refund? Input errors, right? So let's say when you prepare, or your preparer prepares the tax return, so they input any kind of basic data wrong, the names, the date of birth or social security numbers, or your dependent information or your spouse information. Any of these input errors could delay processing your return or accepting your return, and hence the refund. And then also missing information. So this is big. Most of the time, if there's an input error, most of the time things are done with softwares these days. So even IRS, before accept the return, they kind of match your name, social security number, and all of that information with their system to make sure that this is a correct return, right? If anything is wrong, they will reject the return, and then immediately yourself or your preparer will know that your return is not accepted. So those are easy fixes. But what about the other stuff, like the missing information? These kind of things will not come to light immediately. So when you file tax return, right? So you want to make sure that you include all your 1099 forms, and also forms like 1095A. Like if you took advanced premium tax credit to support your health insurance premium, so those kind of things, if you're not sending them or including those calculations in your tax return, your return will get processed late, hence your refund will not come on time or sooner. So one thing, like a lot of people miss, they don't remember to include all of their 1099s. Now this day and age, a lot of people work second jobs, part-time jobs, they work in gig economy. So anytime if you provided services and then received money for more than $600, you're supposed to receive a 1099. Unless you got paid through a service like PayPal or any kind of merchant service, right? So then IRS already has a copy of those 1099s. So if you do not include that in your tax return, what's going to happen is they're going to match the income what they have related to your tax ID or social security number, what you reported on your tax return. If there's a mismatch, it could be an inquiry from IRS for you to include those in your income, or it could lead to an audit. So for you to make sure that you don't have any issues with the IRS or processing your tax return, make sure you include everything that relating to your taxes that you receive. So as long as you have prepared a good tax return, no input errors, no missing information, and you haven't claim earned income tax credit or additional child tax credit, your refunds will come on the dates that I discussed before, sooner. All right. So but if you have those situations, so then your refund will delay accordingly. Now the next thing that I'm going to talk what's new in 2020 tax season. There are a lot of new changes happen in 2020 tax year that we're going to face in 2021 tax season, right? I'm not going to talk about all the tax related things that happen in 2020 and that we're going to encounter in 2021 tax season, but I'll just talk about three basic things that are related to individual tax preparation. So what are those things? First, almost everyone got a recovery rebate credit. What is a recovery rebate credit? IRS stimulus payment. So if anybody who got an IRS stimulus check in early June, July during the summer, or the second stimulus check, now before the year end, they would get a form called 1444. That form will list how much a recovery rebate credit that you got or a stimulus check that you got. So if you did not receive the entire amount of the stimulus payment, depending on your 2018 or 2019 income limits, and your income in 2020 is lower, that you qualified for the full credit, IRS wants you to calculate the recovery rebate credit in your tax return and submit it to them, so they will pay you the balance that you're supposed to get. All right. So for based on 2018 or 2019, in the first round of stimulus checks, IRS paid almost $1,200 per person, and then $2,400 per couple, and then $500 per qualifying child. So if you didn't receive the entire amount, depending on 18 or 19 income, and then in 2020 your income is lower than 18 or 19, and then now you qualify based on the 2020 information, make sure that you talk to your preparer or give the form to your preparer so he could prepare the reconciliation to receive the entire amount of recovery rebate credit. Now also if you all remember, during 2020, IRS postponed the tax filing deadline from April 15 to July 15. So because of that, some people, receive their refunds late. So every time, if IRS, pays someone's refund late beyond a reasonable expected dates, IRS has to, by law, pay refund interest. So most people received small amount like $10, $15, $20, depending on your size of your refund. You received interest on your refund. So that's taxable income, right? So IRS will, if the amount that you received from IRS is more than $10, IRS will issue you a Form 1099 INT 1099 interest. So that's taxable income. You have to include that in your tax return. And then also another new change that's going to affect most people or benefit most people for 2020 tax filing or in 2021 tax season is charitable contribution deduction, right? According to the old law, for you to receive a charitable contribution deduction, you have to itemize your tax return. So if you are someone claiming a standard deduction, that will not benefit you from the charitable contribution deduction. But during what we faced in 2020, IRS changed the laws, or the new laws were created for people to claim a $300 credit on their tax return, with regardless of your itemizing or claiming the standard deduction. So someone claiming the standard deduction, if you give money to a approved charitable organization, right? So you have a receipt, so you could claim $300 tax deduction for the money that you give. What does that include? Money that you give to your church, temple, synagogue, any kind of a religious organization, or any kind of approved 501c3 organization, charitable organization. You give money, $300, you could take a deduction. So that will save you some dollars in taxes. So make sure that you provide that information to your tax preparer. All right, so that's basically what it is for today. We covered when to expect your refund, how you could expedite your refund, and then what are the new things in this tax year. All right, so I'm going to also, I discussed another video last week, when to expect your stimulus payment, second stimulus payment. If you haven't watched the video, I'm going to leave a link to the video here. Make sure you go and check it, and then you could track your stimulus payment. And please remember to subscribe and like and share the video. Until I see you in the next video, stay safe and take care of one another.